as a more of fun activity, which is going to be, beyond your biology and bioengineering summer camp or the proteomics internship programs or anything else which you have been doing in your, projects and your scientific research. Uh, but I must say that, communicating your ideas and effectively presenting them is very important. And that's why we realized while interacting with large number of students that while they have, very good concepts, very good ideas for different projects, but communicating those ideas, presenting those ideas becomes challenging many times. And that's where I think, this genesis of this particular workshop came, that we should try and spend some time with all of you and see can we help you to improve your overall presentations and scientific communication skill. Let me just start with this quote of Dr. C.V. Raman. Science is a fusion of man's aesthetic and intellectual functions, which is devoted to the representations of nature. It is therefore the highest form of creative art. I must say that as a scientist, not only that you do experiments, but you do a lot of thoughtful ways of planning your experiments. You make a hypothesis, start with a scientific idea, and then you would like to very meticulously perform those tests so that you can do your project, and then you have to represent those ideas in a manner which is understandable by everybody, especially the broad audience who can understand your subject. So therefore, it is just not only doing a good scientific project, but also representing your ideas and conveying your ideas to the broad audience is very important. So the outline of this particular workshop and the presentation is that we make a lot of scientific observations, hypotheses and experiments in the scientific journey, how well we can take those data sets and do the scientific presentation so that we can effectively communicate our ideas. Designing your experiment becomes very important, and also documenting those ideas and maintaining those in your routine lab notebooks are equally important. Once you are ready with your good results, then you'd like to communicate your scientific ideas to the community in form of reports or in form of manuscripts. And that's where scientific writing comes into the play. And then many a times you'll start learning about the plagiarism issues, that the writing was probably not very original. And once you start learning the original writing and want to now communicate your ideas to the broad scientific audience, then you are ready to write a publication. Even over there, you have to learn a lot of tricks and tips which is required. For example, how to convey your effective work to an editor first, who's going to look at your publication in form of a cover letter. How to in just 2 paragraphs, how well you can summarize your findings so that editor is impressed and can take your work forward and send for the peer review process. How good your abstract is, because editor is going to look at your abstract and then going to decide that is that a good manuscript for sending for peer reviews or not, right? So again, you have done a lot of work over the years and now you are ready for publication. Conveying those ideas in a very brief but very comprehensive form is very important. Many times you're also going to see the scientific misconducts, some of the ethical and legal issues. Those are also important for you to learn. So therefore, we thought that we are going to convey many of these important concepts to all of you in this 2 days workshop. After my introduction session, Professor Swati Patankar, one of our colleagues from Department of Bioscience and Bioengineering at IIT Bombay, she's going to talk to you about scientific methods. One of the lab member from Proteomics Lab, Dr. Arup Acharji, he's going to give you some presentation tips. 2 of the PhD students from our lab, Ditru Biswas and Arghya Banerjee, they will talk to you about how to present your data well, and also some of the safety considerations working in the biolabs and the ethical considerations for those. Post lunch, we will have a presentation by Omics Bootcamp team, who is going to give you tips for making good newsletters, flyers, effectively conveying your ideas in terms of the good displays. Then we have a session by Dr. Vinita Shah, who is going to talk to you about scientific writing, how to start and think about writing your manuscripts or report. And then Professor Devjani Paul will interact with you further and talk to you about abstract and scientific writing. In the evening session, I will talk to you more informally regarding some of the assignments which we have given you, some of your queries regarding those, and also try to take some of the live interactions so that we have some time to talk to each other. And that's the idea that can we make it more interactive workshop rather than keeping it too many lectures. Tomorrow we are going to have a talk by Professor N.S. Punekar, very senior professor in our department, who is one of the best professors to talk and give a lecture on the research philosophy. And then we have Professor Devjani Paul, who will talk to you about the scientific writing assignment which has been given to you. Mr. Prashant from IRCC IT Bombay will talk to you about how to do the patent search. I will talk to you about need to write your document or data sets properly in the lab notebooks and how to maintain those. And Mr. Lalit Kishore will give you a presentation regarding effective science communication. We will in the afternoon talk to you about some of the slides which you are going to share with us. You are not going to make a presentation, but rather we will review your slides and give you some feedback on that. So with this, let me just let you know that all the workshop activities are being very much updated in this particular YouTube playlist of science communication, where you might have already watched some of these videos. So please do make sure that you're utilizing these resources well. And these 2 days, we just don't want to make it only lecture after lecture, but we want to make it more interactive sessions. That's why we are already uploading these lectures ahead of time for you to go and watch as per your convenience, right? So in addition to some introduction stuff, 3 lectures were uploaded earlier, and then the 4th and 5th lecture, a tutorial video, 2 assignments have been given, and all of these information being updated in the notice board. So notice board becomes very important because you have to keep an eye about some of the the file which we are uploading or the quizzes which we are conducting, the links for those. We will keep updating here, and that is going to be one way of our communication. Given the large number of people who are interacting with us, it may not be possible for us to really talk to each one of your and reply queries right now. But at least all the information could be displayed here in this particular description of the videos, right? So today we have uploaded a Google Drive link for data visualization. Please download those files, which will be used for one of the sessions today. And previous assignments and the quizzes details are all mentioned here. Also, it's a good idea for you to look into the description of each video, because some of the study material which are associated with that particular lecture or the quiz components or the Q&A, we actually upload those in that particular lecture YouTube video description itself. So that could be one of the ways for you to be on top of the contents. Otherwise, it is very difficult to send a lot of emails and so much files. So let me first start that what do you think which are the qualities required for you to become a good researcher? Most of you are at very young age. Several of you are still in the high school and grade 11th and 12th. Most of you are from the BSc and maybe MSc audience here. So I think all of you are aspirant to become good researcher, right? So the very first question which you'd like to think yourself, which of the qualities which are required to become a good researcher? Some of these qualities you may already have. Some of these qualities you might want to acquire over the time period, and that's where we want to preempt you. We want to give you some idea that what is really required for you to become a successful researcher. So while I'm sure you're thinking about what those qualities could be, and I don't have time to actually quiz you and ask you questions, but let me display you a couple of ideas. You need to think very much independently. Of course, you need to have knowledge of the given subject, critically think about a given topic, read a lot of literature and scientific articles which are associated with the given idea, try to understand the data and try to interpret in your own manner. Of course, then you like to learn about writing those results, how to present and communicate your ideas. If you are working in the scientific labs, you need to, of course, learn about a lot of techniques. Throughout the process, you have to be extremely enthusiastic, determined, aware of the subject. And of course, the original contents are very important. Ethics is going to play an important role in the entire journey of your scientific career, because you have to make sure that not only you are doing the good work, but you're also doing in an ethical manner. So communication in science becomes very important, and I think this was a very nice, special issue of Science earlier published, which mentioned about the pressures and predators. How much, even in the journey of a scientist, so much competition comes, so much pressure comes, and what are all factors which you have to keep in mind to really overcome those challenges and try to become a very successful researcher. So you as a grad student, your scientific journey revolves around many facts, right? And let me just say, like, the practical terms every day, like, I get, maybe at least 100 plus emails from different students. And those students want to ask me some queries. Sometimes they have some problems. Sometimes they want to do some work or project or discuss some ideas. So hundreds of email we get every day, right? And you as a grad student or a student who's aspiring to do the work, you write those emails to your professors or your seniors. You need to learn about the scientific methods. Of course, keeping your scientific discoveries, scientific ideas and data sets. You try to document those properly in the lab notebooks. Then once you are ready with a good idea, you'd like to communicate that in form of manuscript. So again, how to write that, figures presentation, data presentation becomes important. And once all of that you have accomplished, then you are ready to make the scientific presentations to the good conferences. You're also due for making the progress seminars for your master's or PhD programs. And of course, the lab meetings and different journal clubs happens, which prepares you for the journey, right? And throughout, as I mentioned, scientific conduct become very important. So what I'm talking right now is essentially some very practical points that you as a grad student are going to, see some of these things every day, right? You will write emails every day. You're going to perform some experiments. You have to document your ideas. And then, you are going to make one or the other presentations every day. You will work in the environment when many students, many seniors are working. Scientific conduct become very important. And as I said, finally, you'd like to show your productivity, your scientific progress to the large audience in form of the writing a good manuscript. So the objectives of the workshop is essentially to prepare you better that how to communicate your works effectively, both in terms of writing and presentations. And of course, we are giving you some assignments to handle this kind of activities. How well you can adhere to the professional scientific standards. The scientific conduct become very important. And throughout, I think you have to pay attention to that. Not only you are doing your own work, but you are doing it the highest standard with the, keeping ethical standards in mind. So let me just give you some examples here, right? Communication, and I'm just giving an example for emails, which all of you write every day, right? And as I said, I get, and for that matter, any professor here would get, several 50s to hundreds of email every day, right? So sometimes I get an email which is very well written like this, and of course I've hidden the name of the student. What is good here that the student has written a good subject matter of the email, which makes me clear that what the subject is about. uh, addresses the professor properly, gives the content in great detail properly, that what is the problem of this particular subject. Finishes up formally and writes his name, and also provides associated document which makes it a very compelling reason that why this student is really deserving, and I need to really pay attention to this student's problem, right? So this is one of the good email, and of course we get both type of emails every day. Many times I get these kind of email which I have actually hidden to make sure that I'm not displaying those names or email IDs. Just somebody writes that, okay, my marks are incorrect, quiz 5 check. No idea that who wrote this email, what your name is, you're coming from which college, you're talking about which workshop, which quiz, which course, no idea. This mail just comes, and this is actually maybe more than 50% mail comes like this, right? Which unfortunately gets deleted right away because I don't have time to search for that student has participated in which of my course, which of the workshop, which of the activity, I have no idea, and I simply delete that email. So this is what you can see the difference of just communicating your idea effectively. You have to put some 5 minutes extra time to communicate yourself well, right? It's just one simple example of communication of emails, which you do every day. Now, communication of your research progress updates, like, I keep telling to a lot of my lab students and the students around us here in IIT Bombay, and very important for all of you to think about that whatever practices you are learning in your BSc and MSc lab courses, when you are asked to prepare the good report, those practices should not be just forgotten after that. Every day when you are going to do a scientific project, you should maintain those details properly. This I'm showing one of my colleagues, lab notebook. Every detail is mentioned clearly with the documentation of the image, with the proper sign off, with proper note that what is the observation from that particular, the result which the person has got, right? Whereas many times I see the lab notebook becomes like this, where students just write like your attendance sheet, something I'm doing, I'm nowhere, no data is being pasted, and I have to compel to write some bad remarks on those lab notebooks. I'm just giving another example of communication, why it is important for you to understand scientific communication properly every day. So scientific communication, of course, culminates into good projects, and finally you are ready to make your scientific presentations. And that's where you have to understand that when you are presenting to a public, when you are presenting your ideas to the common audience, that is a very different type of communication. When you present to a scientific audience, you have to make it very focused, because your audience understand the subjects well. So you have to make it very objective communication, clearly articulate your hypothesis, what results you got, and how well you can present those in a very short defined time. Summarizing your results and not too much text in the slides are very important tips. Of course, you would like to make good figures, original figures, preferably in the PowerPoint, so that things are very crystal clear. And then at the end, you would like to emphasize from that given presentation of could be 5 minutes or 10 minutes or half an hour, that what is the impact you have made from that given work, right? And why it matters to that given field. And if you have accomplished that, then I think you are a good presenter and you have conveyed your ideas well to the scientific audience, right? So in this light, again, as I said, a lot could be done, but right now we don't have time to give you so many lectures. So I have already uploaded one of my previous lecture, which I also teach at IIT Bombay here in communication skill course, in this particular playlist. Also, one of my colleague, Dr. Arup, he has uploaded his PPT of effective PowerPoint presentation 101. Please watch these PPTs and try to learn these practices, these kind of tips, so that you can see like how well you can improve your presentation skills. Now comes to the scientific writing. Scientific writing becomes very important, because even doing good science, but communicating your scientific idea itself becomes a science of scientific writing, right? And while you have a lot in your mind which you think you know, but how well you can communicate that to the other side, right? Somebody who is not looking at your experiments, who is not sitting with you, and you don't have time to explain them in person, can you still communicate that idea effectively to that particular other side of the audience? Many a time this could be very broad audience, not everybody of your subject, people from the other scientific discipline may also want to read your paper. So you do need not to write very technical jargons of the terminologies of your subject, rather make it much more simple. Like if you read good articles from Nature, Science, Cell, many of the top journals, not that they don't want to make it very specialized, but still they want to keep it broad for the entire audience, so that anybody from other discipline can also read and understand those subjects, right? During the entire process of your scientific journey as a grad student, you have to go through the peer review process. All the time, your reports will be sent to different members. They are going to read it, give the comments, give the marks for that. So many times, even there are many open access journals are there, a lot of, different type of journals are there, and you will learn this process of, the peer review. Some journals are very good in peer review process, some are not. And that's where I think, learning the peer review process becomes important, which we will take in one of the another session. Ex-editor of Science, he mentioned that, it's not always important to run behind the impact factors of the journal, because when you are working on a scientific project and want to communicate your scientific idea, don't just always be obsessed with the top journal with the high impact factor. It's very important to communicate your ideas well to the given discipline which you think is most suitable for you to communicate your idea. And that's where I think, don't be all the time into the impact factor business, but rather focus on good quality work and try to publish that high quality work. Again, conveying your ideas in form of a good summary or abstract writing becomes very important for any of these scientific manuscripts or scientific report. Professor Devjani Paul from our department of IIT Bombay, she has given this lecture, which is already uploaded in the playlist. Please watch that video if you have not done yet, and you will learn some of the key tips of writing good abstracts. Again, during the entire process of writing and doing the experiments, you will come across that your report is being first sent for the plagiarism check, that how much you have copied from other papers or others' work. Have you given them proper citations or not? Have you reworded or rephrased the sentences originally or not? These things becomes very important, and you will start learning those very soon. Even a lot of things comes into the patents and intellectual properties, human and animal research, safety issues. A lot of these points actually are revolve around the ethical issues, which we will have more sessions. Science and ethics, as I said, sometimes becomes very challenging because you work on a hypothesis, and most of the time when you are doing the experiments, you are trying to prove your hypothesis that this hypothesis is correct, right? But if your hypothesis is getting disproved, then you are not going to get rewarded because you are not able to publish those work. And many times the scientists become so much emotionally attached to their hypothesis that they will come across many things, all type of evidences, and they will try to still prove that their hypothesis is correct. And many times for a given compound, you'll be still astonished. If you search literature for the same compound, you will find two school of thoughts. One is saying, okay, it works well in these contexts, other says no, it does not work well, right? And you will find a lot of experiments being done on both the sides to try to prove and disprove their ideas. But again, you have to make a balance of these activities. And replicates becomes very important in any scientific experiment because more and more time you do, then only you realize that how good this particular experiment could be for your colleagues to reproduce and the scientific audience to reproduce. And that's where replication is very important consideration for you to keep in your mind. Now, many of the scientific ethical considerations and the research misconduct issues are quite important, which I have already uploaded in these two videos, which you should watch. Look at the success and failures of scientists. Sometimes they get rewarded with the Nobel Prizes. Sometimes they also go to jail and get all kind of punishments. You should keep those points in mind, and at least I'm sure if you watch this story on the cloning and the success and failures, you will remember those key points and scientific ethical considerations in your mind. Finally, the food for thoughts. As a researcher, as a budding scientist who is going to be scientist of the future, you have to keep in mind that you have few obligations to the society because people really trust on your work, what you do as a scientist, right? So you have an obligation to honor that trust, what your colleagues and your society places on you. You also have an obligation to themselves because they are going to put a lot of their funding, their ways of supporting your work. And of course, you have obligation to act in a way that serves the public because public eventually, on one hand, feel really great about your findings and also criticize it if it does not work well. But finally, they place a lot of trust in what you do as a scientist, whether you're an engineer or you're a doctor, you are a scientist. People in general society places a lot of trust in these professions and treat them as a noble profession and really want to see your findings succeeding well to the broader audience. So with this, let me stop here and leave you with a food for thought that the journey of all of you as a grad student is really going to revolve around many of the things. It's not just about doing a good science and good project. It is going to revolve around changing and transforming your entire personality in different ways, about communicating your ideas, about your behavior, about your documentation, how well you talk to your colleagues, how well you present your ideas to the colleagues and the scientific audience. All of those are going to be equally important. And if some of these points and these considerations we could convey you in these 2 days workshop, I think we're very happy that we have at least achieved something during this, really one of the tough time of the lockdown and pandemic. At least together we are able to spend some time and do some activities together. That's all from this introduction session. I'll stop here and let me thank all of you for showing so much enthusiasm to participate in today's workshop. Given the large number of people who are watching this particular session, we have also made it live on the Facebook. I think some of our team members will give those links. If some people are not able to join here, they can also watch the sessions live. Thank you very much, everyone.